Good morning. Welcome to Corona Walks number 16. And today's talk is about men of borders and walls. I've been looking at some statistics over the last couple of days. And again, you find certain countries seem to stick out when it comes to records and Corona and COVID-19. The United Kingdom, up until now, held two records. One for the most people per capita infected, and secondly, for the largest number of deaths in Europe. We now have a new record to add to this record, that last year, in 2020, the United Kingdom, oh, here comes some snow, the United Kingdom recorded the highest excess death rate since the Second World War. More extra people died last year in the United Kingdom than have died in the United Kingdom since the Second World War. This is an important statistic. It doesn't count whether they died of COVID or whether they died of something else. What it does count is the number of people that have died. And we have not had an excess death rate like that. Not since the Second World War, where people were actually bombing us and shooting at us. Now that's quite disturbing. We managed a death rate that was equal to, then double, and almost triple that caused by the Blitz by Adolf Hitler in the Second World War. But this new death rate is really, really disturbing. The United Kingdom is an island. It's surrounded by water. And we have a government that claims to be a government about national security and regaining sovereignty and managing our island. They're not managing it. People are dying. How did they let so much infection first get into our island and secondly get so out of control? They don't have borders to deal with like the other European countries who have all managed Corona so much better than the United Kingdom. Look across the Atlantic, we find another president of borders and walls, President Trump, who I suspect is going to go into the annals of history as the greatest president of shame that the United States has ever had. And the excess death rates and the death rates in the United States have been absolutely appalling. You go further south on the same continent and you meet his friend, Mr. Bolsonaro. Similar statistics. This idea that you can have this thing and you can cut yourself off from the rest of the world and that you can have this sovereignty and you can have this nationalism, it's absolutely and utterly dangerous. The last time this was tried in Europe was in 1939, and we all know what happened. It was totally unacceptable. Regarding what's happening at the moment, getting back to this death rate and how we can manage it, one of the biggest problems we have is actually getting people to cooperate with instructions. I listened to a very moving person on the radio this morning on BBC Radio 4, and she talked about how on Christmas Day, it was the most unusual Christmas day. She drove with her husband to a remote car park somewhere in a nice beautiful place, parked the car as far away from all the other cars as they possibly could, and she took all the presents for her family and extended family out of the car, and they walked about 20 meters away from the car and left the presents in a little pile on the ground. And then they retired to a safe distance so they could watch the family go and collect the presents. And she said while she was there, she saw other families doing exactly the same thing. The point about this is that people are cooperating. We have a government that are constantly telling us that you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do that, which is fine. We need to know what to do and what not to do, and this is absolutely correct. We must socially distance. But the vast majority of us are actually doing what we're supposed to do. I was appalled yesterday to read that for the first time, Morrison's and Sainsbury's, forgive me if I've got the wrong names for the supermarkets, are actually going to make it compulsory that you wear a mask in the supermarket. What? We've been doing this here for 9 months in Bavaria. This is crazy. What kind of government is allowing this kind of mayhem to continue? I'll just add one more thing before I go. The people who don't believe in Corona, the people who believe everything is a lie and some kind of massive conspiracy, look at those death rates. Ask yourself, how did they come about? Look at the appalling numbers. Each of one of them was a real human being. And ask yourself, do you really want to follow leaders, men of borders and walls, that first humiliated and made a joke out of Corona-19, and then did the minimum they could, and then eventually bootstrap panic approach, and now we're realizing that the whole situation is out of control, that the hospitals can't manage. Let's all pull together. Let's all avoid social distancing. Sorry, let's all socially distant. I repeat that. Let's all socially distance ourselves so that we can avoid spreading this virus any further. And let's hope that the vaccines arrive in sufficient time for everybody to get vaccinated. Thank you very much from this absolutely stunningly beautiful forest, covered in snow, high temperature today, expected to be -1. Bye.